Hello! I hope you're all okay and all good. Welcome to another video. My name is George. For those of you who don't know, feel free to subscribe down below if you're not already. And this is every book that I acquired in 2021 and in the first month of 2022 because I don't want to make a separate video for it. Over the course of last year, I had the best intentions of making book hauls as the year went on, of keeping it updated to the point where I would keep the books out when they arrived or when I bought them in some kind of vague order so that I could actually like tell you them. I even kept a list with like a little check mark so that I could say when I'd actually hauled them, and I did not record a single book haul last year, which means there is somewhere in the region of between 60 and 70 books in this book haul. This is going to take a while. I've made myself a hot beverage. I suggest you do the same. Buckle up. Let's go. I am going to try and whiz through these as fast as I possibly can, maybe giving a little bit of background. If I've read them, I will tell you what they are like, but this is going to take a hot minute. So let's go. First book that arrived in 2021 was This Can Never Not Be Real by Sera Milano. This was also one of the first books that I read in 2021. Sera Milano also writes under Birdie Milano for some of her middle grade books, which is Boy Meets Hamster and Boy Meets School, which are two books that I edited while I worked at Pan Macmillan. This is her first YA novel. It's told in multiple perspectives around a siege hostage situation happening at a local bonfire night in a small town. It's fantastic. It's gripping. It's absolutely incredible. So this, and I will mark when these are gifted. This was gifted to me by Electric Monkey, which is an imprint of Egmont or Farshawe. I'm not sure what they're called now. The next book that arrived was First Day of My Life by Williamson. I was also sent a proof of this. I also have read this. This is about the fallout of three best friends on their GCSE results day when in their town a baby is stolen, and they have some connection to it in one way or another. It's very, very interesting. It's a fantastically well written book. Lisa Williamson writes incredibly realistic YA friendships, and I think she's a fantastic writer, and I'm excited to see whatever it is that she does next. But this is absolutely excellent and is definitely one of my favorite books that I read last year. I didn't read many, but this is one of the ones that sticks out for me for sure. The next book was one that arrived from Pan Macmillan, which is Love is for Losers by Wibke Brueggeman. Again, I read this in January. I don't know what was happening. I think I was just reading books as they fell through my letterbox. But this is the story of a girl called Phoebe Davis who doesn't believe in love until she meets a girl called Emma, and it changes her entire perspective on it. It's all written in diary entries. It gave me very Bridget Jones vibes, but queer. It's fantastic. It's very, very funny. I really, really enjoyed it. The next book is one that arrived from Simon & Schuster, and this is Me, My Dad and the End of the Rainbow. This is a middle grade book that, again, I also read pretty much as soon as it came through the door. I'd heard amazing things about it. I was really, really keen to pick it up and see what it was like for myself. It is a gorgeous middle grade story about a boy whose parents are split up. He's trying to like fix this relationship that he had with his dad, but there's this distance between them. So he follows him to a Pride event in London, and it's so fantastic. It's so sweet. It's so heartwarming. I loved it, and I'm really excited for Ben's new book that comes out. I feel like it comes out next month or maybe in March, but it sounds absolutely glorious. I'll put the cover here for those of you who are unaware, but this is fantastic. A book that got sent to me by Icon Books was Sexuality, a graphic guide by Meg-John and Jules Scheele. I've not picked this up. I've not read it yet, but it is a non-fiction graphical representation of sexuality, and I think they offered it to me, and I thought it sounded interesting. So yes, I forgot that I had this. This is the thing about doing this. You forget that you had these books, you put them on your shelf and they're not there anymore in front of your face. The next book was Living and Loving in the Age of AIDS by Derek Frost. I've been meaning to read this for so long. It has like sat slap bang in the middle of my shelves up there staring me in the face because I've been meaning to read it for such a long time, and Derek is so lovely and he read Boy Queen and really, really loved it, and I've just really been meaning to read it, and I think the subject matter has stopped me from diving into it because I know that it's going to be quite upsetting. I'm almost certain it's going to be quite upsetting, but I do need to read it, so yes. Next book is one that got sent to me by someone who follows me on Instagram. This is 2 Million by Alex Fear. I often don't accept like self-published books when they are offered to me. It's no disrespect to self-published books whatsoever. Even like if books don't feel like they suit me in terms of their subject matter or their content, I say no. And there's a lot of self-published authors that will slide into my DMs and offer me things that just are not my vibe whatsoever. But this sounded like my vibe. I've not read it yet, but this arrived sometime in the early part of last year. The next was one from David Fickling Books, which was Jamie Smart's Bunny vs. Monkey and the Human Invasion. I have read some of the Bunny vs. Monkey stories in the Phoenix Presents comics, and I also gave them to one of Jordan's colleagues' children because I thought they would enjoy them a lot more because they were written for them. They weren't written for me. So I have done that, and I will probably do the same with this one. They're very funny. I love the illustrations in them. They're just a bit of fun. The next book was Destination Anywhere by Sarah Barnard. This is a book that, again, this is one of my favourites of the year for sure. I was chairing the launch event for Destination Anywhere, which was done via the art of Zoom. So I read this to prepare questions for that, but also because Sera is an amazing writer. This is a story of a girl called Peyton who is told in befores and afters, if I remember correctly. It was quite a while ago when I read it. It's told in like befores and afters, or like then and nows. And it's about a girl called Peyton who is having a real hard time at school and struggling to kind of get her life together and make friends and things like that. And she steals her dad's credit card, I think, and books a ticket to Canada and just like goes off and like just leaves her life behind. And it was so interesting and so heartbreaking and also soul enriching at the same time. It's absolutely gorgeous. The best thing that you can say about this book is that it gives me the awe. And if you've read the book, you'll understand that. And if you've not read the book, you should read it. So there. The next book is another one that was offered to me by Faber. I also read this quite quickly because it's one that's been on my radar for a really long time, and that is Felix Ever After by Kaysen Callender. Felix Ever After is about a transgender boy called Felix who has never been in love, and he really wants to feel that, and he really wants to be in love. So this is a story of him kind of trying to open himself up to that and trying to discover that while also coming to terms with their own queerness. It's fantastic. It's so gorgeous. There's like a mystery wrapped up in it as well. It's stunning. It's so stunning. And they did a gorgeous edition of it for Waterstones that had like flowery sprayed edges. It's absolutely wonderful. If you do get a chance to read it, absolutely do. One of those books that hit me right in the feels, and one of those ones that I read quite quickly. I think it arrived on my doorstep and I picked it up straight away, and I don't think I put it down until it was finished. Stun. The next book is, well, the next books are two books that actually I worked on while I was at Macmillan, which they sent to me because they rejected the first one and the different one, and the second one was published, and that is Sing Like No One Is Listening and Dance Like No One's Watching by Vanessa Jones. This is a story of a girl called Nettie Delaney who attends a performing arts school in London called Duke's. It is fantastically stagey. It's gloriously written. Both books are like high drama, high camp, high fun, musical theatre references all over the place. They're both absolutely stunning, and I feel like they're very underrated as books. They are like high drama, high camp, high fun. I love them. I absolutely love them. And I will never not be upset that we did not have a third book within that sequence, because there was always meant to be a third one, and I will never not be upset that the third one didn't happen. As far as I'm aware, it's not happening. I wish it was. It's such a good set of books. The next book was one that was sent to me by Osborne, and this is The Outrage by William Hussey. William Hussey is the author of Hideous Beauty, which should be on my shelf just there behind me. Hideous Beauty is a glorious gay YA thriller. This is a gay YA dystopian novel in the vein of The Handmaid's Tale, but also with shades and echoes of like far right movements that are currently happening across Europe and a little bit in the UK, because this government is fucking horrendous. I've not yet read this. Will is a very good friend of mine, and I feel incredibly guilty that I have not yet read this. But I've heard incredible things about it, and I'm very much looking forward to diving into it at some point. The next books are 4 books that I bought. So I know that I bought these in April, or at the tail end of April, because, and I'll tell you how I know this, in the first 4 months of last year, I had no money, because we went into a lockdown. I didn't have a job. The government decided to not help self-employed people for those first 4 months and really dragged their feet on the next lot of the self-employment income support scheme. So I had no money. But at the start of April, I started working back at Primark when things unlocked again. And with my first paycheck, I was like, I'm going to buy me some books. So the books that I bought myself were a few books that I'd heard really incredible things about, and one to make the buy one get one half price offer worth it. So the first one is Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry by Joya Goffney. I'd heard incredible things about this at the time. A lot of people were reading it and saying how fantastic it was. So I bought this. I also love this cover. I think this cover is absolutely sensational. I think it's so understated, but also at the same time being quite bold. I love this. The next one that I got was Cinderella Was Dead by Kaylin Bayron. This is another book that I've heard an awful lot about, a lot of hype about it. And I think the thing that was putting me off buying it was the fact that, one, the writing in it is quite small, and that's always an intimidating thing for me when I'm looking at books. But also the fact that it's like quite fantasy based, and I'm not a big fantasy reader, but I think it was Charlie Morris, Charlie in a Book, who said how good it was, and I trust Charlie's opinion with my life. So this. I also bought Strange Worlds Travel Agency, The Edge of the Ocean by L.D. Lipinski. I read The Strange Worlds Travel Agency, the first book, early in 2021, so knew that this was coming out. So that came out in 2020 and I didn't read it until 2021. I knew this was coming out in April, so I bought this. I'm very excited to get into it at some point. It's a fantastic series if you've not read it already. Well, I've read the first one. It's fantastic first book in a series if you've not read them already. Absolutely glorious, fun, middle grade, world jumping adventure. It's so much fun. Yes, we love it. So the third one of these comes out in April, I believe. So I should probably try and read this before April so that I can dive straight into the third one. So this. And the last book that I bought to make the buy one get one half price worth it was The Love Curse of Melody McIntyre by Robin Talley. I've read a couple of Robin Talley books before. I love what they do. I'm really excited to get into this at some point. I think I picked it up because I was looking for something queer to add to the list of books that I was purchasing. And this was one that was on the buy one get one half price table, and I liked the cover, so I decided to pick it up. I have no shame in admitting that I bought this book for the stunning cover. It reminds me kind of Emily M. Danforth, actually. It reminds me a little bit of The Miseducation of Cameron Post. I didn't realise that they had done this, but they did that. The next book that I got was one that was sent to me by David Fickling Books, which is Where We Go From Here by Lucas Rocha. This is the story of 3 people who each have different experiences with HIV. One who has been positive for 3 years and knows about it, one who has just tested positive, and one who thinks they might have it after sleeping with someone who has it. The idea of the book is to shine a light on prejudices surrounding HIV, and it's one that they offered to me, and I think I bit their hand off for it. 1, the cover is gorgeous, and 2, it's one of those books that feels quite poignant and important, and I wanted to read it. I haven't yet, but I want to. I feel like it's going to be the story for a lot of the books in this video. It's going to be, I really want to read this at some undisclosed point. The next book that I got sent was one by Walker. This is not one I requested. This is All Our Hidden Gifts by Carolyn O'Donoghue. I've heard brilliant things about it. I don't know a huge amount about what it's about. I think it's a bit witchy. Am I right in thinking it's a bit witchy? Special gifts, tarot cards. Yes, I think it's a little bit witchy, and I've heard great things about it. It's just not one that jumped to the top of my list straight away. This was sent to me by Walker Books. The next one that got sent to me was one that I was again reading for an event, which was You're the One That I Want by Simon James Green. I was chairing his launch event over the summer, which again was done via the art of Zoom. This is the story of a high school production of Grease. I feel like it is no secret that I'm a huge fan of musical theatre. I'm a huge lover of musical theatre. So this is right up my street. It's quintessential Simon James Green. It's hilarious. It's heartwarming. It's absolutely fantastic. And there was something about I think also because there's so many secondary school people in the UK who will have done a high school production of Grease. So you could relate to some of the things. I personally could relate to some of the things that were happening, could see things happening in my head in a big way. There's a glorious romance and a not romance at the center of it. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm a huge Simon James Green fan, so this ticked so many boxes for me. Again, one of my favorite books of the year. The next books are some graphic novels that got bought for me by my mum for Christmas. We didn't do Christmas until May because of COVIDina and the lockdowns, because obviously if you've watched these videos and you've been on this channel for a while, you know that I was here in London with Jordan over Christmas because we suddenly went into tier 4 and we couldn't go home. He's from Sheffield, I'm from Essex. We had planned to go home for Christmas and we couldn't because lockdown. So these are ones that my mum bought for me for Christmas, but I didn't get them until May. So the first one is Batman Incorporated from the New 52. The New 52 Wonder Woman Volume 1. I feel like I'm not showing these properly. Those two. The ring light is catching all of this. Aquaman Volume 2, The Others from the New 52, and Aquaman Volume 1, The Trench from the New 52. Can you sense a theme here? I wanted superhero graphic novels for Christmas, and my mum delivered. She also got me Batman Hush and Batman Three Jokers, and these were two that I specifically asked for because I've heard wonderful things about Hush, and Three Jokers interest me because I like the Joker. I think he's one of the best Batman villains. Fight me. The next is one that got sent to me for an event. Actually, I'm going to sort these out so it's all the event ones at once. I chaired an event for Yalk over the summer, which was a romance panel, I believe. And these are the books that they sent to me from because I've read the books and then made the questions and then got in touch with the authors about it. But these are the authors that I spoke to in the books that I read for it. So we had Honey and Issues Guide to Fake Dating by Adiba Jagadar. This was so good. Fake dating is a huge trope that I absolutely love. And this one ticked so many boxes for me in terms of the fact that it was so funny. The trope was done so well. I love them both so much. It was a great book. Again, one of my absolute faves of the year. As Far As You'll Take Me by Phil Stamper. They also sent me a copy of The Gravity of Us, which I read last year and really enjoyed, and read this one this year. Absolutely loved it. About a boy who, again, much like in Destination Anywhere, runs away from his life and goes to live in London for the summer. It's fantastic and gloriously romantic and also very heartbreaking. I also got sent Mad, Bad and Dangerous to Know by Samira Ahmed, which was atmospheric and beautiful, set in France in the past and in the present. It was absolutely stunning. I have vivid memories of staying up very late reading this book and just like sitting in bed and soaking up all the gorgeous language. And also The Kissing Booth and The Kissing Booth 2 by Beth Reekles, which are again gloriously romantic, so fun. Absolutely burned through them because they were fantastic and just very light and very easy. And the last one was Kate in Waiting by Becky Albertalli. You'll notice this has a sticker on it. That's because I bought it because there was a whole big drama with Penguin sending me the book, which I won't go into because it was ridiculous. So I ended up buying a copy of it because, one, I wanted to own a copy of the book, and two, I needed to read it for the event. This is, again, a very stagey, very theatrical book, similar in the vein to You're the One That I Want by Simon James Green, and I absolutely loved it. It was Becky Albertalli, and I'm yet to meet a book of hers that I do not like. The next books that I got sent was like a stack of books from David Fickling Books, which were the new editions of the Lisa Williamson paperbacks. So the paperback of First Day of My Life, the paperback of The Art of Being Normal, the paperback of All About Mia, and the paperback of Paper Avalanche. I read Mia and Paper Avalanche in 2020. I read First Day of My Life in 2021. I'm a huge fan of Lisa Williamson. I think she writes such fantastic friendships and such fantastic characters. I'm a big fan. And like I said with The First Day of My Life, some 20 minutes ago, I'm really looking forward to whatever it is that she does next. Another book that got sent to me was Murder at the House on the Hill by Victoria Walters. Victoria Walters is a very dear friend of mine, and this is her first foray into crime. So this is a cozy crime book that she has written, start of a cozy crime series, the second of which comes out this summer, I believe, and is called Murder at the Summer Fete. A fate worse than death, I believe is the tagline. But this, which I've not had a chance to get into yet, but I'm really looking forward to reading because she's a very dear friend. The next is another one from David Fickling Books, which is Bunny vs. Monkey and the League of Doom. Again, these books are very fun. They're very light. They're absolutely not written for me, but I am sure that that Jordan's colleague's son will absolutely love it. The next book that got sent to me was Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. This is a book that when I posted about it on my Instagram, it went a bit nuts. I just posted it on my story and there was a lot of people who were incredibly jealous that I had this book already, and which makes me feel worse for the fact that I've not read it yet. But I've heard wonderful things about everything that TJ Klune has written. I know I need to pick up The House in the Cerulean Sea at some point, because everyone says that's absolutely wonderful. But I have this, and it is fairly high up the old TBR pile. The book that I bought when I bought Kate in Waiting, I bought I'm a Gay Wizard by V.S. Santoni. This is one of those books that I purely bought because of the title. I thought, that sounds utterly ridiculous. I'm gonna have that. And I've heard good things about it, so I'm excited to get into this at some point. I think it sounds like it would be really fun and really silly, and I love the cover. I love these watercolours. I love that there's a little figure standing just there. I think that's really stunning. So this, and there's a unicorn on the back. It looks gloriously gay, sue me. The next book is one that got sent to me by Penguin, which is The Upper World by Femi Faduba. This is one of those books that had like a huge amount of hype and a massive press release around it. It is a high concept YA fantasy time slip book, which I thought sounded really, really interesting. So when they asked if I wanted a copy, I bit their hand off because I'd heard really great things about it. So this. I also got sent a copy of The Trial by Laura Bates. This is not one that I have read yet. This is one that my friend Lucy recommended to me and said that she would send me a copy of. So I have this as well. I don't really know what it's about. A survival story about the dangers of silence from multi-award-winning author and gender equality activist Laura Bates. But I'm excited to read this at some undisclosed point. And then we get onto some books that I purchased. This was another... Oh, I think all of these last ones are ones that I bought. Oh, except one. This is another, like, I think I got paid and I was excited, so I went and bought some books. And I was looking for some sort of fluffier, not fluffier necessarily, I was looking for some fun YA novels to kind of spark me back into reading. It did not work because I ended up not picking any of them up yet, but I picked up some books from people that I was really keen on reading. One of which was The Lucky List by Rachel Lippincott. This is a book that I picked up purely because of the concept behind it. This is about a girl who has always been lucky but finally feels like her luck is running out, and she starts doing her mum's senior year bucket list because her mum died. It sounded really interesting to me and I thought it was a really fun idea for a book. I've not picked it up yet, but I obviously intend to at some point. So that. I also picked up a copy of The Extraordinaries by TJ Klune. I've already mentioned that TJ Klune is someone who I want to read more of. I believe TJ Klune also wrote a series of books called Wolf Song, which I have also heard is utterly fantastic. So I feel like I need to go on like a TJ Klune binge at some point, but I bought this because I'd heard really wonderful things about it. It's a queer superhero novel. I picked up This Is My Truth by Yasmin Rahman. This was a book that was very much on my radar for most of the year, and when I saw it on the buy one get one half price table at Waterstones, I was like, oh, I'm going to get me some of that. So I picked this up. I remember reading Yasmin's debut novel when it came in on submission when I worked in publishing, and it was utterly fantastic. I've not read a finished copy of it because it's one of those ones where it's like I feel like I've read it and I haven't, because it's obviously been edited and worked on since then. But it was fantastic. So when I saw this, I had to pick it up. And I also picked up a copy of what was one of my most anticipated books of the year, which is Rise to the Sun by Leah Johnson. I was a huge fan of You Should See Me in a Crown. It was utterly fantastic. One of my favourite books of 2020. So when I found out that Leah had another book coming out in 2021, I absolutely had to get it. This is about two girls who meet at a music festival, and it like romance. I'm very much looking forward to reading that, especially after how much I enjoyed You Should See Me in a Crown. The next book is A Dutiful Boy by Mohsin Zaidi. This is a book that got offered to me a very long time ago. I remember this was being talked about an awful lot, and the publicist got in touch and said, oh, I think you'd really enjoy this book. Do you want to read it? And I said yes, and then never heard from them again. And then, like, towards the end of last year, this arrived on my doorstep, and I wonder if there was maybe just like a gap in printing hardback to paperback or something like that. But this is a memoir about him growing up in a devout Muslim household and discovering that he is gay, and all of the things that come along with that. I'm really looking forward to reading it. It sounds fantastic. I've heard wonderful things about it. The next books are ones that I picked up on a trip to Gaze the Word. I've mentioned in a couple of videos now that I went to Gaze the Word with Jordan when we went into London on the 1st of December. We had like a stagey day and we saw Cinderella and we saw Frozen, and we went to Gaze the Word, we went to Goldsboro and just like had a really lovely stagey and bookish day. It was really nice. So these are 5 books that I bought in Gaze the Word. For anyone who's been on this channel for more than 5 minutes, you'll know that it was a miracle that I only walked out with 5 books. I bought Tales of the City by Armistead Maupin. This is one of those quintessential queer books that I feel like I should have read by now in my life, but I haven't. I bought a copy of Stay Another Day by Juno Dawson. I'm a huge fan of Juno Dawson's books. I think she's a fantastic writer. I absolutely love her. And I'm so excited to read this, and it's Christmassy though. So it's one of those things I definitely should have read in December. So I don't know whether I will wait until December to pick this one up because it is set over the Christmas period. I bought a copy of Infinity Reaper by Adam Silvera. I remember when I was going into Waterstones and I was buying these like books that I bought while I was at Waterstones, I would see books in their LGBT section. And the deal that I made with myself in my brain was if they're on the bow and get on half price, I can buy them. But if they're not, I'll wait until I go to Gaze the Word and I'll buy them there. Because I was given some money for Christmas and I had earmarked that for books, and that's what I spent on these books. And Infinity Reaper was one of those. I don't think it was on the bow and get on half price offer when I looked. So I said, I will wait and I will get it when I go there. I really enjoyed Infinity Sun. As I said, I'm not a big fantasy reader, so the fact that I picked up a fantasy book, groundbreaking. And I really enjoyed Infinity Sun, so I'm excited to get into this, even though I think there's a long wait until the 3rd one, so it's kind of like, how long do I leave it? The next book that I picked up was Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman. It's no secret that I'm a massive fan of the Heartstopper books. I reread 1 to 3 this year in preparation for reading the 4th one. I think this is my favourite one so far. I think I say that about every single Heartstopper book, but this one, I think in particular, was very poignant and very, very good. Very, very good. I loved it an awful lot. And the last book that I picked up from Gaze the Word, and this is what I'm reading at the moment, and I'm quite near the end at this point, and that's Perfect on Paper by Sophie Gonzalez. This is the story of a girl who runs a locker love advice thing. People put in letters and she responds to them anonymously. And it's what happens when she helps this boy get back with his girlfriend, and maybe some feelings start to appear there. It's also the main character is bisexual, and there was a lot of conversation around this book when it came out because there are a lot of people that are like, she's like thinking about dating a boy, so this book isn't a queer book. And it's like, but she's bisexual, grow up. That's my 2 cents. She's bisexual because she's bisexual. It doesn't matter if she's in a relationship with a boy or not. She is still bisexual. Get your head out of your ass. The next book that I bought is the finished copy of Murder at the House on the Hill by Victoria Walters. I bought a copy of this for my nana for Christmas because my nan really enjoys Vicky's books, which I really love because it means I get to buy them for her. So this is, you saw the proof earlier on. This is the finished copy of that with its gorgeous spot and embossing. Next books are a couple of books that I got for Christmas. The first of which was Nightwing Rebirth Volume 1, which was a gift from my little brother. He knows that I'm a big fan of Nightwing and of DC Comics. So he bought me that. Things that I bought for myself, there is a comic book shop near where we live. And things that I bought for myself were the first 3 volumes of Ultimate X-Men. So Ultimate X-Men The Tomorrow People, Return to Weapon X, and World Tour. This is volumes 1 to 3. When we went in there back in May 2021, post-Christmas, I saw those in there and I convinced myself not to buy them because I'd just been bought a whole bunch of graphic novels for Christmas. And I said, I'm not going to buy them. And then they were there when I went again, because they only have like single copies of things. And they were there when I went in again, and it felt like a sign, even though it probably wasn't a sign. The next books are books that I bought in the Waterstones sale. Waterstones had a big sale post-Christmas, which is essentially half price off of their hardbacks, which was happening half price off of all of their hardbacks in store. I couldn't go in store because I had COVID, so I did some shopping from home from the ones that online were half price. And I picked up Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. That nearly fell out of my hand because this book is a weapon. Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr, which is... which I don't know what this book is about. I bought this because I read All the Light We Cannot See when I worked at Waterstones and I absolutely loved it. So when I saw this, I thought, oh, that's a bit of me. So I picked that up because also it was half price. I picked up a copy of The Party Crasher by Sophie Kinsella. I've not read any Sophie Kinsella recently. A few years ago, I read the first 3 Shopaholic books and I thoroughly enjoyed them. And some of her standalones as well. I think I Can You Keep a Secret, and a couple of others. And I think they're fantastic and light and funny and fluffy. And I remember when I read the blurb for this, when Jordan and I were browsing Waterstones at some point before Christmas, I thought it sounded really fun. So I bought that. I also bought a copy of Heatwave by Victor Yeston. This is translated from French. It is quite short. It is a psychological thriller, I believe. And what drew me to this was the cover. I thought the cover was absolutely beautiful, so I decided to put it in my basket. And then I mentioned this in another video, but then Carrie Hope Fletcher mentioned it in her like most recent reads and said how good it was. So it was like, well, that feels like a sign. I'm glad I bought that. I bought a copy of Lawrence Chaney, Drag Queen of Scots, The Do's and Don'ts of a Drag Superstar. In case you're unaware, I'm a bit of a fan of drag over here. I did write a YA book about it, which is there. It's called Boy Queen. It's available where all fine books are sold. I'm also a drag queen under the name That Girl. I'm also a huge fan of Drag Race, so I'm excited to read this and find out more about Lawrence and their life. And I also bought Release the Beast Bimini, because I'm also a huge fan of Bimini Bon Boulash, and if there is a drag queen writing a book and publishing a book, I want to read it because I love drag and I love drag queens. We're now into the final few books. Praise the Lord. This video is going to be so long and such a bitch to edit. The first book that I bought in 2021 was Check Please Volume 2, Sticks and Scones. My mum bought me volume 1 many moons ago and I'd never got around to reading it. I had read it online, or read like a huge chunk of it online, and was a huge fan, but I never finished it. So I read this again at the start of the year, and then I bought this and read this. Absolutely glorious graphic novels, so adorable, beautiful artwork, just very, very stunning. I then, on my way home, actually no, this is what came in first. I got a copy of postcards. I've not opened this book yet. I got sent a copy of Queer Up by Alexis Court, which is an uplifting guide to LGBTQ+ love, life and mental health. This is published by Walker Books and they sent me a copy of this. It looks absolutely stunning. I love this cover. It's gorgeous. I also follow Alexis on Instagram and he seems really great. And finally, the final 4 books. On my way home, I went home last week for my sister's birthday and to see my family for a little bit, and I nipped into the works on my way home because I had some time to kill before my mum picked me up from town, like from the town near where we live, and I got 4 books because it was the works. The first was Rainbow Milk by Paul Mendes, which was in the sale. This is a book that I've heard incredible things about. It is one that has been on my radar for quite some time and I've just never got around to picking it up and reading it. Seeing it in there felt like a sign to me. The next book that I picked up was Always and Forever at Glendale Hall, which is Victoria Walters' most recent Glendale Hall book. So she is mostly known for women's fiction, cozy sort of vibes at Glendale Hall, which is a place in Scotland. They're all standalone books, but they're set in the same world, so you can read them in any order. And I also bought a copy of Graceling by Kristen Cashore. This is a book, again, that's been on my radar for quite some time. I've heard brilliant things about it. I'm in love with this cover design. And I bought it because, again, as I've said already in this video, I'm not a big fantasy reader, but this is a book that has been recommended to me a lot. So I'm excited to read this at some point. And they also had the other 3 of that book, of that series in there. And there was that small part of my brain that was like, buy all of them. And then it was like, you don't know if you like it yet, don't do that, which I think is growth. And because it was 3 for £5, I felt like I needed to buy one more. And this is a book that I kind of bought it on a whim. It sounded camp and a bit silly, and in that sort of rom-commy Nora Ephron, Julia Roberts film kind of vibe, which is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. And this is about a woman called Olivia who ends up going on her sister's honeymoon with the best man from the wedding, who is someone that she hates, when the entire wedding party gets like sick apart from them. So as to not lose the honeymoon, they go on the honeymoon together. It's one of those classic tropes of like 2 people that hate each other being forced to spend time together, which I absolutely love. So, and now we take a breath and we're just going to take a little sip of the beverage, which is now lukewarm. That was a marathon, but that is the end of this video. that was around 60 or 70 books, and now I'm exhausted. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. I would leave details of all these books in the description box below, but I don't know if I have the energy. But that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If there's any of these books that you have read and enjoyed, feel free to let me know in the comments below. If you made it this far in the video, leave me the book stack emoji, because oh my god. But that is the end of this video. I love each and every one of your faces. Feel free to put a like on this and subscribe down below if you want to see more. I'm trying to make at least one video every month. But I love each and every one of your faces, and I'll speak to you as soon as I possibly can. Bye!